What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to look at a few swings, some requests that people had out there, and let's start with Nomar Garciaparra. Just had a request for this guy. What an underrated hitter Nomar Garciaparra was. Let's look at. He was 160. He is 166 on the pound for pound list. So, he weighed about 170 and hit a home run every 24, I want to say, at bats. Let's see. Yeah, 24.39 at bats. I have him here at 185. That's interesting. Cuz he's listed at 165. But I bet you he was more like 185. Here's a guy who, regardless, he wasn't very big. He was, if we compare him to Derek Jeter, people know, is a pretty overrated player. Great player, for sure, but overrated because he played for the Yankees and because he, was on World Series winning teams. But if you look at someone like Garciaparra, he was pretty much at a different level even than Derek Jeter. Because he had not only a better batting average, he was 3 points higher batting average, so basically the same batting average. But, I think he hit double the home runs in terms of the rate at which he hit home runs. Somewhere around there. So you had considerably more power. He hit 372, led the league in batting average in 2000. And in 1999, he had a 357 batting average. And that led the league as well. He was second in the MVP voting in 98. Just 98, 99, and 2000. He just was tearing it up. Had 35 homers in 98 with a 323 batting average. And was second in the MVP voting. Won Rookie of the year before that in 97 with a 306 batting average and 30 homers. That's a heck of a rookie season. Let's take a look at his swing. Pretty still. Oftentimes people think that I really... Taco truck driving by. A lot of times people think that I really need to have a lot of movement of the bat as you go into redirection. We do tend to see that from some guys who tend to have really ridiculous high amounts of power. But you also see a lot of just not a lot of movement from guys who are very high up on the pound for pound list. Garciaparra didn't move very much at all to start the swing. And that's really okay. Maybe that's a little bit of a sign of someone who possibly has a little bit higher of a batting average. He's not willy-nilly with his bat. He's not just kind of maybe you can kind of gauge more where the barrel is through contact if you're not moving so much. But some people could argue that, and maybe that's the case. But let's talk about, as we get into the swing, the things that really matter. That's what I like to really focus on. There are certain things that might increase batting average or power in minute ways, right? But I'd really like to focus on the things that matter the most, And you can see this is really, to me, what matters. He's getting hand depth here. Look at how compressed that lead arm is against his body. I think that's key, to get the most out of your body weight. And not just that, it's also a consistency thing. And what's funny is the exact opposite is taught. Pretty much every coach out there who coaches the baseball swing is going to say that this is like pulling the lead shoulder or dragging the barrel. It's just, they just haven't done their homework. I mean, that's all there is to it. This is a great move. And as you do this, you want the barrel to flatten out. And Garciaparra looks great here. Great looking swing. You know, his swing reminds me a little bit of another pound-for-pound great. Let's see where Balboni is on the pound-for-pound list. Balboni is 220, so they're really close to each other on the pound-for-pound list. Very similar swings. See, not a lot of movement as he goes into his stride. Balboni was a big guy. I think he was 6'3", 220, somewhere around there. And then you can see he just kind of doesn't get quite the front humerus compression as Garciaparra. Also, a lot of times guys will lean over towards the plate and it's harder to tell, you know, how much his barrel's flattening because it looks a little steeper than it normally would if he was more straight up and down. I'm not a huge fan of tilting like this. I just think it's unnecessary. I know that is, you know, these days the conventional teaching is to have this tilt and stay in your posture and all that stuff. It's neither here nor there for the most part, but since it's neither here nor there, I just think, why do it? It's harder on the body, harder on the joints. But Balboni did do this. It was just kind of the way he swung. But unbelievable hitter, really, in his own way. I want to see, he had some like ridiculous minor league stat. Let me see if I can pull that up. Home runs. No. I mean, he hit a lot. He hit a lot of home runs, but basically the same amount that he hit in the major leagues. The most he ever hit was in '85 for Kansas City, and I do believe they won the World Series, and I think this is footage actually that I'm showing right now of the World Series. He had 36 that year. Never really had quite a high batting average, and that kind of hurt him. He hit 301 in Double-A, and I think that was the only time he hit above 300 in all his professional career. Yeah, it was. 301 with 34 homers. Anyways, so great looking swing. You can see, look at that position there at contact. I mean, that is great. You know, the back arm is real loose and relaxed. The lead arm is nice and straight, which you could have it bent too, but I really like to see that back arm loose here. I mean, of course, you're going to have to go out and get pitches sometimes. You're not going to be perfectly on time, but I want to see that a hitter is at least capable of this position at contact. Guys, real quick, I just want to tell you about my new book out. I know some of you guys are golfers, but not everyone. But it's called I Figured Out the Golf Swing. Not a real modest title. Check that out at theswingmechanic.com. If you guys have friends who play golf, let them know about it. I'd appreciate that. Also, we have a golf swing retreat coming up in May. It'll be in Carmel by the Sea, California. Check that out at theswingmechanic.com, and I appreciate you guys. And let's move on here. So, great looking swing there. I like the way Balboni finishes. There's no flip. You know? There's no flip there. Here he is again. Nice compression of the lead arm. Back arm is nice and loose as he's using more of his body weight to go through. And then, again, no flip there. Everything finishes all at once. Another swing I wanted to do is Mark Grace. Mark Grace, let's look at his stats. He was more of a high average guy There was another Mark Grace that played recently, I guess. Started in 2015. Yeah, Mark Grace was an interesting man. He was so much like George Brett, I think, in many ways. He had more of a high average, I want to say. He had 326 in 1995. That's excellent. The next year, he had 331. The next year, 319. Then 309, 309 again. So, extremely high average. Finished with a 119 OPS plus, which is excellent. And 173 homers. Let's see if he's even on the pound for pound list. Yeah, he is. He's way down there, but weighed 190 and hit a home run every 46.62 at bats. And he's number 937 on the pound for pound list. Now, you'll see something in his swing that I think is pretty common in these guys who are high average and decent power guys. And we'll take a look at some of those guys to compare him to. But notice there's no hand depth here. Remember the Garciaparra swing? He had that lead arm. I mean, Grace gets it, the lead arm very straight, but there's not as much compression. This is something that possibly could help with batting average. Again, to kind of know where the barrel is in space, it might help just a little bit more to have less compression of the lead arm. I am in no way saying that it's worth it. What I would rather you do is learn where the barrel is in space with this lead arm compression by practicing having more lead arm compression and swinging off a tee or whatever, just to get to know the barrel awareness. But, you know, ideally, like if contact was the only thing we were trying to do, of course we'd have our hands right in front of our chest and we just kind of flick at it. Or we, you know, when you're bunting, your hands are just right in front of your chest, right? You know where the barrel is in space. You can see it out of the corner of your eye. It's more comfortable in a way to have the barrel kind of not getting so far behind you. But what I would say to contradict that and maybe play the devil's advocate there is just get better at allowing the barrel to get more behind you, you maybe not knowing exactly where it is in space, and swinging that way, and you'll get better. You'll get better as you do it. But if you have this crutch of, oh, I need the barrel to be right out here and I can see it, and well, you're always going to be kind of a slap hitter. There is a little bit of, with the power hitters, there's a little bit of, freewheeling it in a way. They're okay with taking their cuts, taking hard cuts, and taking a chance, you know? I may not make any contact, but I'm sure as heck going to put a hard swing on this ball. Anyways, so Grace, very much like a George Brett or a Wade Boggs here, his lead arm doesn't compress all that much up against his body. But very good-looking positions through the swing. Not a lot of flip, you can see right there. Very George Brett-like. Wade Boggs did kind of a similar thing. See how there's not a whole lot of front humerus compression there. But everything else is right on. You know, he still gets the barrel dropping nice and flat. Just nice position there at contact. But what the person Grace really reminds me of is George Brett. There you can see, not a lot of front humerus compression. Everything pretty much stays right where it is from the start of his stride to the start of the swing. And this is a beautiful position there, like Grace at contact. And he looks very much like Grace as he goes through the swing. I would say, look, you might sacrifice a little bit in consistency, right? Maybe. And I'm not even conceding that would definitely happen. But what I would want is, man, at this point, maybe even get a little bit of hand action going here so you can feel more of that compression of the lead arm as you head into the forward swing. The power increase will be way worth it because you're not only going to have more bat speed because the hands are starting from a farther back position, but you're also going to tend to be more rotated at contact, and therefore you're going to have more mass behind the hit too. So the power is just going to be much more just by getting that hand depth. Let's take a look at some average guys' swings. I'd like to mix this up every now and then. This is Pat Sheridan. If we look at his stats, I mean, he weighed 175. He didn't hit very many home runs. Had a 91 OPS plus. Let's see if I can find him here. Weighed 175. He the most home runs he had was in 1988. He had 11 home runs in 347 at-bats, which actually isn't too bad, but had an OPS plus that year of 111. And mostly, though, he was a single digits home runs every year and had a 253 batting average. So just your average major league hitter, which means you're still going to see lead arm dominance. I mean, to make it to the major leagues, you're most likely going to have some lead arm dominance, right? And there you can see a little bit, right? Barrel flattening out, a little bit of front humerus compression, but you can see the flipping going on through contact. You can see that. Remember the guys we just looked at, right? Now, Boggs had a little bit of this action after contact where the bat would flip. But he had very good positions, very well-connected positions at contact for the most part, but he just halted his body rotation so early. And possibly that helped him with consistency, but just because it would have his barrel kind of not flatter, but not flipping over as much through the zone, and then it would flip over afterwards. But the key is really these positions back here. I mean, Sheridan is he's coming pretty steep with the bat. He's not getting a lot of front humerus compression at all. And then he likes to just kind of flip at the ball, really. Let's take a look at another one. So you can see, I mean, the moral of this particular vlog is going to be getting hand depth. Get the hand depth as you start into the forward swing. If you can flow into it, great. If you don't want to flow into it, do what Garciaparra did, which is just kind of sink into it. The hands just kind of fall into it. You can flow into it, though, and it looks like if we look at the best pound-for-pound hitters, they tend to have a little bit of flowing action. I mean, Griffey had just a little bit, but still a little bit is something, right? But Sheridan just kind of fires out from there, and he's just missing out on so much power, and not to mention, it's like he gets crunched up through contact. You're just not going to get a whole lot of power, and you're not going to get a whole lot of consistency either. But so many people, and I'm sure Sheridan bought into this too, where they think that if you're going to have power, you got to sacrifice consistency. What's crazy about that is, why don't they just look at the greatest hitters of all time? I mean, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, these guys had high levels of power and high levels of consistency, right? So obviously it's possible. You don't have to sacrifice it. What I would say is go for extremely high levels of power, no matter what your size. and go for very high levels of consistency. If you go for just high levels of consistency, it seems like guys who do that want to veer towards things that unnecessarily decrease their power. Rickey Henderson. Rest in peace, Rickey Henderson. One of my favorite players to watch. He is a pound-for-pound great. Let's see where he is on the list. Rickey Henderson is 605 on the pound-for-pound list. So he also didn't have a whole lot of movement of the bat as he's heading into the forward swing. Just kind of pretty stationary. Doesn't get the amount of front humerus compression that I'd like to see, but oftentimes achieved nice, well-connected positions here at contact. So you can do very well without getting a whole lot of front humerus compression. So let's talk about some methods out there, some conventional instruction going on out there. This, I don't know this guy's name, but it's out front hitting. Now he's showing this guy what he's doing. Let's just listen.
If I'm trying to exaggerate front arm over the ball and keep my chest down.
So I gotta think moving my chest forward.
Yeah. Okay.
I know exactly.
Yeah. And then the ribs down is.
I had to feel this in my stance.
Yeah, and then stay there.
That's from that last week, and that's what.
Yeah, and then stay there. Because like you were like, and you're going away to try to get the hands up.
Make the space.
Yes, instead of hold the space, hold the space, hold the space that way. So like if you see Mookie or Belly or those guys do it, it's like it's that move.
Yes.
It's I'm trying to go there to get the front arm over, not there.
Yes.
Okay.
So a couple things come to mind when I see this. One, conventional instruction is making guys just more stiff. If you notice, this kind of teaching is it's basically wanting less movement. It's like just stay, hold, he even said, hold your position. So it's this rotation around a spine angle that's staying basically in the same place. Everything is confining the swing. And it's unnecessary. That's the thing. When you're confining movement and it has nothing to do with doing any better, then you are actually going backwards. It's not just neutral. Now, talking about another thing is that I don't like ever instructing big muscle movement. I mean, possibly he was leaning, basically he's saying don't lean back, kind of stay forward into the hit. I guess I kind of like that teaching, but not in the way that he's doing it, because again, it's confining and restricting. It's like this, they want this very stiff, robotic kind of swing. Again, I've said this so many times, instruction, guys, I was there too. I mean, I honestly, this is probably why I'm so antagonistic against it, is because I fell into it too. The idea that better mechanics, whatever sport you're talking about, is more confined and restricted and robotic. It might be because we are almost like so influenced by machines. We look at like the machines of factories or the computers and phones that we have, and everything is just very rigid, and very clean and concise and packed, and and so maybe that's influencing us, but I don't think that that's what good mechanics is. When you see good mechanics, you know it because it's beautiful to the eye. And sure, it could be something that's very confined and restricted. You know, I'm not saying great mechanics can't be that, but that's not what it is. For example, someone like Nick Price had a very confined, sort of robotic kind of golf swing. So does Robert, I want to say Robert Locke, but that's not the right, Rock. I think his last name is Rock or something. Anyways, there are some golfers who have very kind of robotic type of swings, but that's just because that's what they developed. They're not trying to be that way. That's just the swing that they developed, and it happens to be very robotic-like. There may be baseball players with that kind of swing as well, but it's just not coming to mind right now. But there may be some pitches where you have to kind of lean back like that. Maybe you get, I mean, are you going to tell yourself, oh, I messed up because I leaned back? There's some pitches where you have to lean really far forward, in my opinion. I think you can, that's the thing is, I think that all this talk of like spine angle must be straight and not moving and tilt this way and then at contact this way and all this, it's making people way too mental. I'm trying to get across an idea and it's hard to, but I think that his teaching there is just making it too mental. Like, what if he needs to move back a little bit to create some space to hit a certain pitch? In his mind, he's going to be thinking, oh, I'm messing up as he's doing it. I don't think there's anything messed up about having to lean back a little bit to hit a pitch. It happens. Hitting is messy, guys. Hitting is messy, but your mechanics, as long as you just focus only on what matters, then other than that, allow yourself to be messy. Allow your spine angle to move all over the place in order to hit the pitch. But do what matters, which is more lead side and less back arm. Do that. And other than that, allow it to be messy. That's going to be a huge advantage for you. The more that you're confined and sticking in this one little spot, I mean, pitchers these days are loving that. These guys who just, these days, rotating on the back femur. I'm not saying that this guy advocates for that teaching, but, you know, pitchers are loving guys who rotate on the back femur. Just hang back on the back leg. I mean, that's just a fancy way of saying stay back. I mean, that, you know, fire a fastball high and inside and then throw that breaking ball low and away, and you're going to have them waving at the pitch. You know, you're also going to have them, it's going to be hard to hit that high and inside fastball too. Because you're hanging back, you're going to tend to throw the hands out more rather than getting your weight moving forward and basically using your rotation to hit the ball. There's just a lot of nonsense going on out there, guys. And no offense to this guy, like he just, you know, he's teaching his conventional stuff, but it's kind of unfortunate to see because it really doesn't benefit anyone but the instructors who are getting paid. A lot of guys are teaching the swing that, I mean, I don't know. It makes me wonder sometimes, like, why are these, I see major league guys, like, getting advice from guys just teaching this conventional stuff. It's really unfortunate because those guys are making a living with their swing. So let's hear what, this is Wes Helms, former major leaguer. It doesn't mean anything that you're a former major leaguer when you're teaching the swing. That's pretty standard. There are tons of former major leaguers teaching the swing and teaching stuff that I really don't agree with. And I don't agree with this. Let's listen to it.
Everything works here and then goes. The top hand's going to deliver the barrel. The eyes, like I told you.
That's
the
insane.
eyes are going to see.
I mean, that's insane to say the top hand's going to... He's lit... Camwood Bats is literally saying the 100% opposite of what I say. Like, 100%. Like, the guy before this, it's not really that I disagree with the stuff he's saying. I just don't think he's teaching stuff that really matters. I don't think it's going to... I mean, I just don't think it's going to really drastically improve anyone. It may not hurt people, but it may hurt people just because it's like stuff that doesn't matter. So it's putting swing thoughts in your head for movements and positions that just don't matter. When it comes to Camwood Bats, they are teaching the exact opposite from what I teach. So you can't be on the fence between me and them. Like, it is 100% opposite. Like, they want the backhand to dominate the swing. They want no rotation going on in the swing. Again, they're just teaching the conventional 80s stuff. I dropped that stuff decades ago. Like, most people did. I don't know why that this is like... I don't know why. It must just be people who... I don't know who they cater to. I don't see the draw towards them for anybody because they're just saying stuff from the 80s. I mean, haven't we kind of moved on? But I guess people like it. I don't know. I guess there's...
Pitch. So, when the pitch is on the outside corner, our eyes see that. But if we start here this way...
See, the whole rotating. Like, these guys are just against rotation. Like, sorry, guys. You have to rotate the swing. Even the guys who try not to rotate. Like, you're still rotating. I mean, if you look at guys who try not to, pull their front shoulder out, guys like Bregman, this whole idea of not pulling the front shoulder out, they still end up pulling the front shoulder out just as much as you would if you were, more lead arm dominant. You have to rotate the swing. I hate to break it to you guys. The whole idea of not rotating the swing, it comes from, again, the whole consistency craze in baseball. Like the prudent thing is to not go for power. Don't pull your shoulder open, you selfish power hitter. Don't you know how to be a team player? And so the idea is, if you never pull your shoulder open, dude, you never commit to the pitch. I hate to break it to you guys. You have to end up committing to the pitch at some point. Just deal with it. Like, it's like going to a casino and wanting to win a lot of money, but you don't ever want to risk anything. It's not going to happen. Sorry, guys. You're going to have to pull that lead shoulder out, and that's okay.
See, my bat's going to be like this.
Oh, no.
Even balls you hit to right field are going to start.
I just wonder how much video has this guy ever taken an interest in video? Because video taught me way early on, again, decades ago. Wow, I was like, wow, all this barrel straight down, like, that's not what the great hitters are doing. That's not what any of the greatest hitters, and when I say greatest hitters, I'm sorry, but Tony Gwynn and Wade Boggs and Slappy McGee's like that, while I respect them, and guys, I was the biggest fan of these guys. I hated power hitters. I literally hated power hitters when I was growing up. For the same reason that a lot of people do. I think it strikes you as they're not craftsmen. You know what I mean? They're not technical. They don't work on their swing. They don't hit off tees. They just go up there and grunt and hit home runs, you know? But they're more valuable. They're way more valuable. And when you look at the best of all time, they have a flattening of the barrel behind them. This is where, you know, Skank is right about that. He's getting the feeling wrong. Richard Skank is getting the feeling wrong. It's not a snapback, and that has to do with the fact that he wasn't ever an athlete. You know, he's just guessing. He's working it out in his garage. And not that I'm the greatest athlete, but you have to have some understanding of, you know, you got to be, I think it helps to understand movement, basically. Be someone who moves a lot. To understand that it's not a snapping back move. It's not a forcing the barrel back. It's that the barrel flattens out because your back arm is not overexerting. So you get this, if you swing with just your lead arm, you'll see this. You get that front humerus compression as you start forward, and the barrel is going to kind of align with the rotation of your body as you do that. This guy hasn't even gotten interested in video enough to see that the barrel has to flatten out behind you. And all the great hitters had that.
Right. Instead of this. So that's why it's so important that we get here and go this way.
So here's the big problem I have, and this goes for the guy before this video, any of the teachers out there. Again, this is kind of the theme of this vlog is get yourself that hand depth. I mean, I'm not saying that's a static position. I'm saying pass through a position where you have hand depth as you start the forward swing. Whether you want to say front humerus compression, however you want to say that, but get yourself some hand depth. You can see this guy is just, this is a huge problem with conventional instruction. They totally ignore this link in the chain, if you will, of getting this front humerus compression, getting the hand depth as you start forward, because they're all so indoctrinated, inculcated into this idea that you can't drag the barrel or you can't, bar out the lead arm or else the barrel's going to drag through the zone. And so they're operating under this assumption. So they don't even really realize anymore that they're missing this key piece. It's like a fish noticing water, They just are in it. They don't notice it. It's just that's the paradigm they've been in for so long that they don't even notice they're missing a link in the chain. You're not getting as much of your body rotation into the hit if you miss this link in the chain. It's got to kind of compress and kind of slap up against your body at some point in the forward swing.
So even though that pitch is away, my first initial move.
See that? He's not getting.
It's not. That
it's just straight. It's just from here straight out. And then what he's saying is,
it's not this one.
Like, these aren't even faults. That's another thing that conventional instruction will do. Like,
that one.
Like, why would anyone do that? Like, bar the arm and then go out towards, like, the dugout over there. Like, they do, again, it's just a lack of, like, interest in mechanics, in my opinion. I'm sorry. A lot of these guys, I think, I'm not saying that's the case with this guy, but a lot of these guys who teach the swing, I think they just wanted to stay in baseball. They just thought, I don't know. I just don't see the interest ever, the curiosity about the swing, It's just, it can't be there. It can't be there. Because what positions are you exactly talking about? What players exemplify the kind of swing that you're even talking about?
It's not this way, inside. It's here and then all of a sudden that.
See, look how steep that is. No humerus compression, no hand depth. The barrel's just super steep, and that's what he wants. And then, look, no body rotation. He's going to go to contact.
As I come, I'm still going straight.
Like, this is ridiculous. You're instructing, like, this is what today's instructors do. Like, go straight here, and then you're going to flatten out here, and don't move back here, and keep, it's like, dude, this is a 1 second movement. Give me a feel. Give me a simple feel, man. And I have that for you. More lead side, less back arm exertion. It's real simple, guys. Other than that, don't worry about your spine angle and this and that. Do whatever you want. You want to tilt, if that's the natural way, you want to tilt over towards the plate, do it. There have been great hitters who have done that.
My top hand
Look at that.
takes the barrel.
Look at that position there at contact that he's advocating, guys. This guy's totally bought into the just make contact mentality that's out there in instruction.
Barry Bonds always says it. So
So if Barry Bonds always said it, let's all just brush under the rug that he actually took a lot of steroids. Why? I'm not saying the guy was, I know the response. He was a Hall of Fame hitter before the steroids. Do you know when he started taking steroids? You know exactly when? Because I would imagine it was probably somewhere around 1990. So that would make his, pretty much all of his high home run years just cheating years. We don't know when he took him. But why are we looking at Barry Bonds? And I like his swing. I think it's great, but God forbid. First of all, don't listen to major league hitters. Just because they played Major League Baseball, just because even they did great at Major League Baseball doesn't mean that they have something to teach. How do I phrase this? That everything they say about the swing is correct. They may have stuff to teach about the swing, of course. But oftentimes you just don't want to listen to major leaguers talk about the swing. You want to watch what they did when they swung. You want to see how they developed their swing. When you do that, what you're going to find is so many of these guys developed lead arm dominant swings. And that is really the key. And they did it unconscious at an age where they weren't even conscious that they were doing it. So how are they going to teach you anything about the swing? It really bothers me that we, for a while there, everyone was like down on Barry Bonds. And I don't care either way. I'm not like a fan of any player. But we were, disparaging of him for like 5 years after we realized that he took steroids, right? And then all of a sudden it's like in vogue to not only to just brush it under the rug that he took steroids. I mean, again, I don't care if you like him, hate him. I'm not playing that game. The game I'm playing is let's find the best way to swing. And to do that, why are we listening to a druggie, of a steroid junkie? Why are we even looking at his swing? Because his numbers are going to throw you off big time. Right? Why are we going to look at a guy who gained 50 pounds or whatever he gained of muscle, of pure muscle too, basically? We're not talking 50 pounds of fat. I mean, Adam Dunn, not that he's fat, but like that's more of just a big guy. Like got some chubs maybe, got some muscle, just a big guy, right? Bonds gained, like that's significant. When you're talking most of your body weight is muscle, that's huge. So it's, guys, in any sport, steroids completely changes the game. When we're talking about swing mechanics, let's not choose the one guy who took the most steroids. Let's not choose the guy who's 280 pounds. Can we do that? There are plenty more guys to choose from. Why don't we stick with guys below 210? That I would even be happy with that. But I would be happiest with, let's look at the really light guys. Let's look at guys 180 and below who just mashed. You know, Stan Musial, Mel Ott, Ben Ogilvy, Oscar Gamble, Eric Davis, Willie Mays. Let's look at those guys. I mean, anyways, sorry, rant there just from one thing that he said in the beginning.
Take the ball. Throw this ball right here. See how I had to go get it?
Yeah.
Okay, now watch.
Okay.
I didn't go get it.
I don't get that. Do you guys get that? He basically moved his lead arm hand as much as he moved his back arm hand. I don't get it. But again, notice, I know what he's saying. He's saying, just catch the ball. That works when you're 250 pounds or whatever Bonds was of pure muscle. Guys, he could get away with stuff that was less than ideal. When it comes to teaching the swing, I want to teach ideal, right? Bonds, it's comical that Bonds is saying all you have to do is catch the ball. Yeah, for you, no hand depth at all, just boom. And he did it. He started getting less and less hand depth as he got stronger because he's just so muscly. I liked his swing back in 89 and 88. So this whole teaching of, I mean, it's comical. It really is. Like, okay, so you just want to catch the ball, so why don't we just put our hands right here and why don't we just bunt? Why don't we just do this? Why get any hand depth at all if you're really just trying to catch the ball?
So
You don't like the back catch it.
catch the ball with your backhand.
Ooh.
So I'm catching the ball with my backhand. That keeps me behind the ball. Barry Bonds said it all the time.
What does that even mean? It keeps me behind the ball. Again, this is that vague teaching, that conventional instruction. Guys, we should not settle for that anymore. Keeps me behind the ball. Sorry? What exactly does that mean? I mean, a ball basically can't have anything behind it because it's a sphere. I don't even know what it means. Or how are you supposed to not be behind the ball? Like, would that mean hitting the ball like this? Well, I'm in front of the ball that way. I'm hitting it this way. I don't know.
Behind it.
And you're leading with
catch
your back hit too.
Yes, I want to catch the ball with my
Nice.
backhand.
She goes
If I
nuts.
do that,
She goes nice.
I'll always let the ball travel. I'll always stay behind the ball because when I let the ball travel, it keeps my front side from coming out. So
That front side coming out, guys. That's a doozy.
that's another one. You know, just catch the ball right there,
Yeah.
and
I
that's
like
all
that.
you're doing.
So there you have it, guys. I disagree. I disagree with the conventional approach. This whole contact-centered approach, this scared kind of poke the ball the other way, be prudent. That's the wise thinking man's way to hit. It's not. It's not. I'm sorry. Look, Babe Ruth never hit off a tee in his life. He never thought about his swing, I'm sure. Maybe he thought quickly about how, I don't know, maybe he thought once in a while, my swing is awesome. That's about it. That doesn't mean that the way he swung isn't beautiful, great mechanics, and really the right way to swing. And that goes for Hank Aaron and Willie Mays and all these guys who didn't do what the conventional approach is trying to teach you to do. But they were way more valuable. I mean, we're talking OPS plus. Babe Ruth had a 206 OPS plus lifetime. Ted Williams had a 191 OPS plus. 191, 206. That's insane. That's almost doubling the OPS plus of guys who are pretty damn good. it's time that swing instruction kind of gets on a different page. You know, this whole idea of this contact-centered instruction. It's played out. It's played out. And I fell for it hook, line, and sinker, guys. I did. I was all in on that kind of swing. It never got me anywhere. And in facilities around the country, we are churning out hitters at an astonishing pace in this country who are buying into this kind of swing. And honestly, we should be dominating in the world. The only positive we have going for us is the world is kind of following us right now in all this conventional swing teaching. You see even the Dominican Republic, I mean, they're still doing a lot of their sandlot, just natural, but they're starting to kind of instruct kids a lot. The best thing we can do for this in this country right now is to teach the lead side, the more lead side method when you need to teach. But other than that, just let kids play, man. Stop the drilling of this stupid swing that's being taught and just let kids play. They'll learn a great swing on their own. Most of the time. And for those who don't, then we can give them a little lead side instruction. Make their back arms behave a little bit. But another thing we could do, which would drastically improve hitters in this country, is to just have them, every little league coach out there, just have kids start off swinging with their non-dominant arm and back. That would change everything in 10 to 20 years. If we on a mass scale started doing that, we would dominate in baseball again. Which, you know, back in the early 1900s, we dominated. Like, there was no country even close to us. We should get back to that. And we can. Baseball is about hitting. It really, I know people want to say it's small ball, man. It's, you know, poke it there and be smart. And sorry, guys, it's about hitting. The team that can rake is going to crush the team that tries to small ball. That was the whole John McGraw thing when Babe Ruth showed up. Babe Ruth showed up and everyone hated it because he just like squashed John McGraw, who was kicking people's butts with his small ball approach. Babe Ruth just said that small ball approach is a joke. Like, I'm gonna like, with one swing, I'm gonna take care of those few runs that you produced with all your thinking and hit and runs and hit to the opposite way and bunting and all that junk. I mean, I'm sorry, but when the small ball team faces a team with power hitters from 1 to 9, and you can teach your hitters to be power hitters 1 to 9, they're just going to get crushed by the power hitters. The wise thing to do is to teach your team how to swing properly, and that means using more of their lead side, less of their back arm exertion. Put your energy towards doing that, and you don't have to think about all this small ball stuff. I'm sorry, I don't think that it really ever is wise to get into small ball. I just don't. I think it's too much sacrificing outs. And I know a lot of people disagree with me out there, but I think they're just conditioned by conventional instruction. Thank you guys for watching. Check out my website, theswingmechanic.com, and I'll see you next time.